just share a few thoughts and ideas with you about silvopasture and maybe establishing silvopasture, especially when you're backing into a system, okay, where you already have trees established. Some comments were made about lime earlier. So soil fertility is going to be a real issue when you're trying to back into a silvopasture system. Who knows what the actual fertility is going to be if you have trees that's been there for a number of years. They could be trees could have been planted back into a crop field or a pasture field. Maybe the soil fertility is fairly reasonable. Maybe it's not. So the best thing to do is to take a soil sample to understand what the soil fertility is before you plant any kind of vegetation or forage for your cows. Another consideration is, what kind of forages do I need in a grazing system to support my cows? Well, here in the southeast, we're limited in the number of perennial forages that we can use. One of these is the Bahia grass. Another one is Bermuda grass. Perhaps there's a few places that can grow Dallas grass around here. But that's primarily the perennial forage species that we have in the southeast, okay? Warm season perennial grass species. Which one is going to perform better? Probably the Bahia grass is a little more shade tolerant than Bermuda grass, okay? Some of the data that I've looked at shows that cows will actually perform better on Bahia grass in a silvopasture than they will Bermuda grass. We've got several Bermuda grass types, hybrid Bermudas that you can actually sprig into the site. And you also have seeded type, common Bermuda. Hybrids are going to produce more forage typically than a common Bermuda grass will. Okay. Also, to supplement what you have as a perennial grass, you need to think about what can I put out here to help carry my grazing as far as I can. What kind of other benefits can I get from other forages? And so you start thinking about cool season type plant species. Some of those include the clovers. They're annual clovers and they're perennial clovers. Annual clovers typically are going to be seeded each year. That's the way they perform and that's the way they function. They have to be seeded and grow, and they mature and die in a year. Biennial clovers are going to grow and mature, and by the second year is when they die. And perennials are going to be established, and they should continue to grow for a number of years without having to reseed. Okay? Annual clovers we typically think about are going to be anything from arrowleaf clover to crimson clover, okay? Ursine clover. Some of the biennial, well, the only biennial we're really going to talk about is going to be red clover. Okay, that's the one that grows 1 year, and by the second year it dies. Okay, it's mature and dies. And then there's some perennial clovers. Typically, we're talking about some sort of a white clover. There's been some clovers out here for a long time that are in the white clovers that typically will grow better on moist soils or heavier soils. They typically don't grow very well in the southeast. In the last few years, there's been some development of another intermediate type white clover that seems to be doing quite well, especially on our sandier soils. And so we're looking at how well that clover performs over a number of years. Does it last a long time? Can you grow it, sustain it? Will it produce what you're looking for as far as forage quality and forage volume for your livestock? And that particular clover that is on the market right now is Durandal.
Clear cut. And then my silvopasture, where I run the cows at, I got 85% more profit because the trees grow a little larger. They went from pulpwood up to chipping saw. You know, that was in 5 years, and you know, it was amazing. I said, man, them sweet gums, I hate them. But one thing that I ran into, I had longleaf. That's a money maker. The foresters, they keep it to themselves and put it in their pocket. But that's a money maker. Raking straw. About 2 years ago, I went out there, like George was telling me, let me find out why my clover's not coming back. I went there and kicked the grass. It was that much pine straw. Then I went and I got to come rake it. He come out there, he kicked the grass, turned around, went back to his truck, and hauled Well, I give you $100 an acre for 10 years. I said, okay, let me think about it. About 2 days later, I called him back. I said, what about 150 for 4 years? Oh no, I can't go for 4 years. Give you 150 for 5. I said, so it's money in the pine straw.
Yeah.
And first, he was wanting to come in and kill all the grass until they raked it the first time. Mike, let's tear the contract up. Let your cows graze it. This is one of the best rakers I ever had. Because you go in there and rake the straw. Because I put my cows on it and then the cows just push it right down to the ground. And I was down in Florida, extension guys, they thought I was crazy. I was asking them about these beetles that go in the dome. They said, what do you want with the beetles? I said, nah, I don't have to be dealing with dung in my pine straw.
Hope to get 2 blocks 8 foot long in a tree in 25 years and have a 9-inch top. If we can do that, that'll bring more money in our farm than poles. So that's our goal. As far as the cattle are concerned, we'll run on a 10-acre tract. We'll run 40 to 50 head of grown cows, but they only stay on there 7 days, and then they're rotating. This is a beautiful fence system you have on the exterior. We run all of our cattle behind single wire electric fence. All of our interior fences are single wire. We water our cattle in vaults, and the wire goes across the top of the vault. We water this cell on this side of the vault and this cell on this side, so that the watering facility serves two different cells. We also try to keep our water within 800 feet of the boundary of the property. If you've got your water situated around 800 feet or less, the cattle will go to drink one at a time. If they've got to walk a quarter of a mile, they'll all go. When they get a drink of water, they'll lay down. When they get up, they'll crap, and then they'll walk back. If you put it 800 feet in the center of that cell, you'll see one watering, and then in a minute you may see 2 watering, and in a minute you may see 1 again. That way you don't lose that manure being distributed all over your real estate where you want it, and get it congregated under one tree where they're watering it at a central location. What was about the money? My consultant and my wife, all I do is the work. They handle all the money and all the business. They tell me that the timber on the Silvopasture configuration, which we planted 4 by 8 by 40, and we thinned it starting at 10 years and every 5 years after that. And then we planted some open land in 6 by 8, which is 750 trees per acre, on Bahia grass sod. We have netted more income off of the Silvopasture than we have the solid set. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Just like Franklin will tell you, when you get to dealing with a logger on a sealed bid, if he can come in here, harvest this wood and be out in 3 days and not tear up his equipment, the price changes dramatically. And logging in a Silvopasture system where you have livestock is just like cutting it out of city park. If he's got to go in the swamp and tear up his equipment and make ramps and build roads, he's not going to bid that timber at the same price. I factor that in. I understand that I'm getting more money on my Silvopasture thinnings than I am my solid set. But still, the bottom line is how many dollars it puts in my pocket. So if I can make more money on the Silvopasture, and he thins down between the rows, throws it in the pool alleys, and he pulls straight out. So he's not crossing any stumps. He's running just like running down the highway. And we move the cattle off while they're logging. And one other thing that my consultant does for me, we do everything by sealed bid. We require the logger to pay 75% the day of the closing. We give him 1 year to cut the timber. He puts up a $1,000 performance bond. He runs over my gate. I either keep his $1,000 or he fixes it. So take that.